Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carla and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes of inspiring you to do the same. And by doing so, I managed to overcome lifelong mental health issues, completely overhauled my life, changed my career, lost over half my body weight and live a pretty decent life right about now. In today's video, this is part 2 of embracing our discomfort in order to get us to our weight loss goals. I'll leave part 1 linked up there where we talked about a number of different areas and tips that I had that can help us to embrace that discomfort, to push through it so that we can get to the other side and be okay being uncomfortable in order to eventually be comfortable with that discomfort. It makes sense if you watch part 1. In this video, I'm going to be kind of giving some tips and a couple of different ideas that I think might help you guys that I've used that helped me to become more comfortable with discomfort. The first tip is something that is a tangible exercise that you can do in order to overcome that feeling, that initial feeling of discomfort, that instant hit when you want to fix it. In part 1, typically what we're doing is trying to change the way we feel about whatever's happening, what we're doing in ourselves, what we're feeling in ourselves. And so to help us to change, we typically, or to seek comfort, is we typically reach for food. Probably if you're watching this video, you reach for food. And what we're trying to do is be okay to get through that discomfort so that we can get to the other side and push through and maybe not eat that food. Now, we need to eat food, but we're not overeating or binge eating. And it's helping us to put a distance between that trigger and the reaction. And we're looking to create space, and in doing so, create a response that is more adult, that we're coming from our prefrontal cortex. We're not going from our ancient brain. We are basically regulating ourselves. And one of the ways that we have regulated ourselves is with food. And another way that we can do that is with box breathing. And this is a tip that my therapist gave me that helped me to be able to deal with the discomfort and sit with it and go through it. And box breathing is very simple. I will let's take this is kind of a box. It's not really square, but it's kind of a box. And what you want to do is, imagine this was equal. You want to inhale for 4, so hold for 4, exhale for 4, all through your nose, hold for 4. When I'm doing this, I will look at anything in my line of sight that is some kind of square rectangular shape. I will look at my laptop screen, I will look at my phone, I will look at a journal, I will look at a picture on the wall, and I will breathe up 2, 3, 4, cross 2, 3, 4, holding it, exhale 2, 3, 4, through the nose, hold it, 2, 3, 4. And keep doing that until I can feel myself regulate, until I can feel the sense of calm come back into me. Because it's the discomfort that we are trying to escape. And food can give us that, help us, but it's also not going to bring us towards our goal, and it's also going to cause further panic, especially if you're anything like me. If I ever overate or when I was binger, the giving into the food and feeling like I was a failure then made the whole situation worse. So it was like this horrible cycle, whereas this is creating a response as opposed to a reaction. It's allowing us to go, okay, I think I don't need this. And do that as often as you need. And you can do that when you are in public, like the grounding that we talked about in part 1. You can do any of this when you're in public. You don't need to, nobody needs to know. You can go to the bathroom and do it if you need to, or you can sit at a table and do it, or wherever you are. If you're in a queue, you can do this just to make sure that you are regulating yourself again. Number 2 then is self-compassion. And I did touch a little bit on self-compassion in part 1. What I'm speaking about with this is just another tangible thing that we can do. And sometimes what we are seeking is comfort, is that compassion, and we might not have somebody around us who can give us compassion immediately, and we need to be able to find a way to give it to ourselves. I realized that a lot of the actions that I was doing were coming from me as a child. It was the 5-year-old Carla was the one who was making the decisions in my life. You know, she was the one who was reaching for the food when she was stressed or upset or anxious or worried, or which she was at all points. not 5-year-old, but the adult me was at all points, and the adult me would escape my body, and the child would be looking desperately for some kind of love, and the love came from food or some kind of comfort. And sometimes a simple hug will change everything. And sometimes we don't have somebody that can hug us, but we can do it to ourselves. There are 2 types of hugs that I used to give myself, and still do, that help me when I'm feeling really uncomfortable. The first is just your, sorry, I hit my mic now. It's just your, like, literally just a hug, like so. Maybe resting your head on your shoulder, giving yourself a hug. And this might seem ridiculous to somebody watching this, and that's not gonna help me, but it does. Don't knock it till you try it. Giving yourself that love and attention. A gentle touch, a gentle stroke of your arm, a gentle pat in the back, a squeeze of your hand to your shoulder. That's the first type of hug that really helped me. And the second is called a self-compassion hug. And this is where you place one hand on your heart and one hand on your solar plexus or in your belly. And you just breathe in and out. And this just gives yourself that feeling of regulation, of calm. Touching your body helps you to connect back in with it and to give yourself that type of comfort, that bit of love, that bit of feeling a bit better. You might not feel amazing afterwards, but it might just stop that reaction of reaching for food and stop you from feeling that discomfort. Number 3 then is gratitude. Now, I know every Tom, Dick and Harry is talking about gratitude and manifesting and all those kind of things. And the reason that I include gratitude here is because it helps with a change in mind shift. A change of mindset, not mind shift. I have always been a very glass half empty kind of person, and I would feel uncomfortable with my lack, and I would always focus on the lack, the things that I didn't have, the things that I wanted but I couldn't achieve, the things that I thought I needed, what other people had that I wanted. I always came, even that there wasn't enough food. That was really my lack mindset. A lot of my food addiction, a lot of my binge eating was to do with an accessibility of food, not being able to access food, coming from a place of lack. One way to change that mindset is to realize what you have access to. Gratitude helps you to do that. By focusing on what you do have, what you have access to, what you are capable of, who's around you, what you can do, it changes that shift from a lack to an abundant mindset. And in doing so helps you to feel more, helps me anyway, to feel more comfortable in myself and to reduce that feeling of being uncomfortable. Okay, let's take it at that we're at a table. We're out with friends and I do not want to have dessert because I know that's going to bring me away from my goal. However, I start to feel the urges, the uncomfortable feeling coming up inside me when I'm sitting at that table, when I know that everybody else is going to be ordering dessert. Instead of focusing on the thing that I'm lacking, I am lacking the dessert. I focus on the thing that I have. What I have is a choice that's going to bring me closer to my goal. What I have is that delicious meal that I have just had. It was beautiful and it really satisfied me. What I have is these beautiful friends that I'm sitting with, that I enjoy their company and that this is the moment. And by focusing on those things, on the things that I have, it helps to shift that discomfort into, or the lack, and into a more comfortable position. And in doing so, it shifts you from that lack perspective of, I don't have the dessert, I feel so awful, ugh, what am I giving up, what am I not going to have, to look at all these wonderful things that I've had. Even if you can see that, like that feeling of ugh, to it helps us to feel more comfortable in ourselves. Number 4 then is to set small goals. The reason I say this is because small goals will help us to achieve them. So if we set a goal of, I want to lose weight, in doing so, it seems like this mammoth task that causes us discomfort because we are not able to achieve it instantly. We are not able to get that thing, and the goal is so enormous that it causes stress in our bodies or discomfort, and triggers those needs that we think that we have to go get food or to comfort ourselves with food. When we focus and break down a goal into really small, achievable steps, and I'll leave my video here about how I broke down my goals with weight loss, you're only focusing on the next small goal. So if you can focus on the next little goal, what will happen is that you are more likely and most likely to achieve that, as opposed to focusing on this mammoth goal that you will achieve but will feel like much more of a slog. And by achieving the little goal, it will help give a little, little dopamine hit, a little like feeling a little bit good about yourself, and therefore not a discomfort or an uncomfortable feeling. So by shifting from these mammoth goals into smaller ones and seeing the next small goal and working towards that, we're working instead of having this feeling of, oh, how am I ever going to achieve this? Like, okay, all I need to achieve is this little thing to get to this next goal. And by doing so, when you achieve that, you feel better in yourself. You feel better in yourself because it's less overwhelming, it's more attainable, it's more achievable. And then the final bit, guys, the final step, in order to change to achieve the things that we want to do, we are going to have to grow. And if we can start to see growth and the challenges with growth as opportunities as opposed to something that's going to stop us from doing it, it can help us to push through and see it as an opportunity for change. It can be the more difficult one to adopt. So say, for example, if you're on weight loss, that you hit a plateau. What we can take from this is we can take it as a learning opportunity. Instead of thinking that this is a challenge, I'm uncomfortable with this challenge because I'm not achieving what I want to achieve, therefore I'm going to reach for food, we can take it as an opportunity to learn about ourselves and to learn about how our bodies work. Okay, what time of the month is it? Is it my period time? If it is, then maybe that's why. Am I under a lot of stress? Did I sleep enough? Did I eat enough? Did I drink enough? What is it that's causing me to have this? And maybe there's nothing, and that's just our bodies, and that's what we need to do. So by adopting the idea that every challenge that we face is going to help us to learn and to grow, it's going to stop that feeling of discomfort. It's a mind shift that's going to help us to reach our goals and to work towards our goals, as opposed to that feeling of, oh, I'm never going to be able to do any of this. I'm never going to achieve this. This is such a big challenge. Instead, it's an opportunity to learn and to push through and to get to the new goal, to get to the new part, to get to that growth that we're looking for. It makes us more open, more flexible, more okay with change. And it's probably the last one because it's kind of the most difficult. But if you keep going, I promise it does get easier to see challenges as growth opportunities and not as the thing that's going to end everything. Guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've really liked doing this series because I do believe that everything that we want in our lives comes when we step outside our comfort zone. And for me, that was the most difficult part, was to step outside my comfort zone, to allow myself to be vulnerable, to step outside, to do the things that I've always wanted to do, and to not play it safe and play it small. This is about stepping outside of ourselves and achieving what we've always wanted to achieve, and hopefully a bit of growth mindset, a bit of discomfort will help us to do that. If you have made it to the end of this video, please let me know any tips that you have to deal with discomfort down in the description box or down in the comments down below. I'll also link part 1 if you haven't seen it. And if you don't have any tips, maybe leave a couple of questions. I can do a Q&A on this as part 3, or leave me just a couple of hearts, just hearts for the discomfort, a little bit of hugs or a hug emoji if you can do it. Thank you so much, guys. I will love you and leave you and talk to you very soon. And please do not forget to show up for yourselves. Bye, guys. I want my coffee sitting on the floor today. We never sit on the floor.